Hey guys, today I want to talk about the 6 red shootout. The 6 red shootout, if you haven't seen it, has become quite a big part of the game with Ultimate Pool. It's one of the innovations that Ultimate Pool came up with when they first started a year or so ago. And the 6 red shootout, if you haven't seen it, it's a way of determining who wins the match if the match finishes tied. A lot of matches these days are now timed matches, so if the match clock runs out and the scores are tied, it will be a 6 red shootout to determine who goes through. And all it is, it's a case of both players will have a go at the 6 red shootout. Whoever can pot all 6 reds the quickest will go through. Now, we've seen quite a few 6 red shootouts now. We know a good score is somewhere in the mid 20 seconds. Somewhere in the early 30s, you've still got a chance. We haven't seen anyone in competition go sub 20, but I know it's been done in practice quite a bit. But if you were somewhere in the mid to low 20s, you'd be thrilled with your score. Personally, if I was to do this, I'd be happy anywhere in the 20s because it's not really my forte, this one. But I'm going to give it a go in a minute. A couple of the rules we should know about: you have to hit a cushion just like a normal frame of pool, and the big rule to remember is as long as the cue balls stop moving and the ball you're going to play, so the object ball you're playing, has stopped moving, other balls can still be moving, so you don't have to wait for everything to stop to play your next shot. So that's definitely something to bear in mind because that can happen quite a bit when trying the 6 red shootout. So they're the two main rules to really consider. Worth pointing out, if you don't hit a cushion, it's a 5-second penalty. So don't give up at that point. Keep going, but 5 seconds would get added onto your time. So what can we do? The 6 red shootout isn't just a hit them and hope and see how quickly you do it. You do have to have a bit of a plan. And we've seen the more the players are getting used to the 6 red shootout, the more they're starting to understand that the big shot, the key shot, is the break. Because as I've already mentioned, you can play your next shot as long as the cue ball and the object ball stop moving. So when you break off, if you can park that cue ball nice and quickly, then you're potentially going to be playing your second shot within a couple of seconds. Whereas if you hit the break hard, the cue ball's flying around the table, the object balls are flying around the table, you could have to wait quite a few seconds before you can play your second shot. So the first thing is we don't want to hit the break particularly hard. We just want to hit it hard enough so a couple of balls will hit a cushion and they just gently ping open, and we try and park the cue ball somewhere in the middle of the table here and give ourselves an opportunity to play our second shot really quickly. So that's the biggest key, is a good break off. If you get the break right, then you have to try and play as many shots as you can without moving the cue ball. If you're playing a pot into the corner and the cue ball's flying around the table, you're waiting for that cue ball to stop before you can play your next shot. Whereas if you can play shots where you're literally dropping them in or stunning them in so the cue ball is not moving at all, then you can play your next shot nice and quickly. So that is definitely another big key with a 6 red shootout, is to play as many stop shots, stun shots as you possibly can. And the other thing for me, and one I think doesn't really get thought about that often, is you need to not rush. I know that sounds silly because you're trying to do this as quickly as possible, but you don't want to rush. You want to try and make sure that all you're going to do is play 6 shots after the break. Okay, you could make a ball off the break, but let's assume you don't. You're trying to play 6 shots. What you don't want to do is rush, miss a pot, and then you have to play a 7th shot or an 8th shot or a 9th shot. You want to play 6 shots, so if it takes you an extra second or two to make sure you make the pot, it's worth it to not have to play another shot. And the other thing with not rushing, as much as you can, try and have some sort of idea of what you're doing. Your brain wants to be really working hard, is when you're potting a ball in there, want to be on, have a route. Try and, as much as you can quickly, pick out a route, try and come up with a plan of how you're going to go about it. Don't just pot the first ball you see because you think that's the way to go. Try and think about it, because that extra second or two early in this visit could help you. And if you put all that together, hopefully you can get somewhere in the 20s, if not lower. Now I'm going to try it myself. I put myself under pressure here because I've tried to explain how to do this. I've done it a couple of times before in practice when we've been at the shows. We've just been playing around to see what we could do. Myself and Steve and the other commentator, we've played around with it, as well as some of the Ultimate Pool directors. We've had a bit of fun with this one. My best time is somewhere in the mid-20s, but I have only tried it a handful of times. Put myself under pressure here. I'll be happy anything in the 20s, but I'm expecting to be somewhere in the 30s because it's not really my forte. But let me give it a go and see what I can do. I'm just going to put the cue ball a little bit to the left-hand side. I'm going to try and hit this front ball nice and full ball, and I just want a nice soft screw shot to here. Well, it's a stun shot. I'm not putting any screw on it. I just want to park the cue ball as quickly as possible, and I just want enough power so that some balls hit a cushion. Ideally, a ball would be able to go into that pocket, or I'll have one into this pocket because the cue ball's going to be here. So I'm going to anticipate, once I've played the shot and I'm going to start to move around here, hopefully have something in there or into the middle. But if not, I'll have to adjust. And the other thing as well, make sure you chalk your cue before it starts, because you don't want to have to be chalking your cue midway through a 6 red shootout. So get yourself chalked up nice and early, and let's see how I get on.
Wish me luck.
Wow, I'm a bit out of breath there. I was running around the table like a madman, telling you on the video here that I don't want to rush, and I end up rushing on every shot. I was running around the table, headless chicken, but that's what the 6 red shootout can do to you. It can really scramble your brain. To be honest, didn't have the best of breaks. I didn't control the cue ball very well. The cue ball came too far back up the table, and then it got a secondary kick, which knocked the cue ball further up the table, but it also didn't leave me particularly nice on the first shot. I was hoping to be straight in there so I could play a quick stop shot and get myself going. So one of the things I did that I didn't talk about before I played it was I actually wasted a shot as well. You don't have to pot off every single shot. I had a pot into this centre pocket first shot. It was a thin one. Now if I'd taken the pot on, the cue ball would have travelled around the table quite a decent distance. So I decided to waste a shot so I could play it really quickly, pop my next ball straight away. So I played 2 shots almost instantly, and then I came back to that one, so I played the extra shot. But I was helped by the fact that when I made that one down there, I made both of them in the same shot. Excuse me. That really helped me because it was a shot less I had to play. So I was relatively happy with how I recovered from the first shot, but it's amazing how the break can really determine how quick a time you can do. But it's definitely something, excuse me, I'm so out of breath, this is ridiculous. But it's definitely something that's worth practicing because it has become a huge part of the game. Like I say, it's worth putting some time in because you'll never know when you're going to be in a situation where you're going to need to take on the 6 red shootout to try and get you through into the next round of a tournament, or it could even be to win a tournament. We've seen that before as well. So it's definitely worth putting some time in, really work on that break. One of the keys, as I've talked about, is the break. Now I've seen it when players turn up for their tournaments with Ultimate Pool and they know that they're in a format where the 6 red shootout is likely. When they get their table time on the main match table, I've seen players just spend their whole table time working on the 6 red shootout, and all they're doing is the break. Rack them up, break, rack them up, break, because they want to get that break perfected, because if you get the break perfect, you can put in a really, really quick time. So the break is the key shot, but it's definitely something you need to practice to get right for tournament play. Give it a go yourself, guys. If you haven't done a 6 red shootout before, try it. It's a lot of fun. Challenge your mates, get a few people around, maybe so you can time each other and see how you get on. It's a bit of fun, something different, but I definitely think it's something that's here to stay, and it is something that's going to be around for a very long time. So give yourself some time and let me know your scores. I really want to know everybody's time. So let me know in the comments below, put your scores down. Let's see who can put the best time together. See if you can beat my score. And thank you for watching. I'll catch you next time.